Hello everybody and welcome to Wesley's Plant World with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I am sitting out here in the area of my garden called Shieldeside, and this is a new area of my garden that I'm starting to create right now. Well, I started last year after excavating out a new pathway in the furthest back northern side of our garden, closest to our roadside here and my neighbour's house next to us here. And this pathway you see in Shieldeside leads us off into the furthest back area of our garden and round into all the other areas of the Crystal Woods area of our garden that has all the different areas within it. For example, the Japanese Stone Garden, Betty's Grove, Triangle Garden, Oval Gardens 1 and 2. And there are lots of different names for lots of different areas in this part of the garden. So this side is called Shieldeside because we have, as you can see behind me, a huge expanse up on the slope side here where I want to plant out a lot of different bushes and shrubs and trees to thicken out and fill out the area to give us coverage down into our garden. And I've started doing this by planting out lots of different cuttings that I've taken from various plants in my garden, some that have roots already that I've planted out, some that have no roots that I've just stuck directly into the soil to see what happens. I want to find out which plants are going to be robust enough to be able to take the situation of being out on this side here where it's slopey, where it gets quite dry, and it's not a very good soil actually at the moment either, because after they excavated our water pipe here, they dug up all of the sandy clay soil and it got mixed together with lots of big boulders and rocks and all sorts of things. And well, we'll see what survives for this situation. What I've done recently is I've planted out a lot of a plant that is very, very prolific in the area where I live. It's a native species and it is the Norway spruce, Picea abies. I've planted out a big long area at the bottom of the slope here, quite thick, so that this plant can grow up and be evergreen and give us a lovely evergreen coverage at the front of the whole edging. And then as we go up behind, I'm going to be planting in, as I said, a lot of these deciduous shrubs, trees and bushes to fill out the area behind that. So we'll always get to see the evergreen plants from down in the garden, and then we'll have a big thick expanse of all sorts of deciduous plants that will be absolutely fantastic for the biodiversity here, the bird life and all the other creatures that are going around. For example, I'll be planting out and have started planting out some different species of Crataegus, these hawthorn bushes. They are absolutely perfect for the birds and other insects because they produce edible berries. Well, not just for them, but also for us. We can also eat the berries and make things out of them. Up on the furthest side, we have a spirea bush that grows out and spreads out by itself very prolifically. Does very well. It looks nice during the summertime, but it doesn't look very nice during the winter time. It gets just brown and bare. So it's going to be very nice with the spruce trees in front of all of that. I've also planted out silver bushes and red oaks and all sorts of things, but I'll show you that as we go along because I'll take you in for a quick closer look of all of this before I get started with today's project. You'll notice that there are lots of rocks and boulders in on this side as well, which is absolutely fantastic to give some contrast and layering. And then the pathway will be kept clear from any grasses and all sorts of different plants that grow up in it by just trimming it. It's very simple. And then I have the bushes on the right-hand side of the pathway that are mature plants in their own right. We have a hazelnut bush here that's quite mature. We have the Norway spruce. I have an oak tree, an English oak. I have a very, very mature Norway maple ahead of us on the right-hand side here. Absolutely beautiful. And lots of other trees I can see. For example, a silver birch, downy birch. Yes, all sorts of things like that. But anyway, in this video, on the front edge of this side here, I want to plant out a long line of beautiful ferns so that as we walk along here next year, we'll have this lovely display of lady ferns all along the edge here in front of the spruce trees and then everything else that's going to be coming along with time. This edge is going to take time to grow up. As I said, I'm going to be planting mostly cuttings and things like that, and then just let it mature through the years. But the spruce trees, once they're established, they grow quite fast, so that should be quite nice, and then everything else behind can just take the time it needs to take to fill out. So I really just want it to look nice on the inside here. so that we have a nice lining of the pathway. So I'm going to take you in for a closer look now, just so you can see what the area is looking like now, just after, I think it's 1 or 2 seasons this pathway has been here now, and Shieldside. And then I will take you across to Cosy Cove, where I'm going to be digging up all of the lady ferns that I have growing there, splitting those, bringing them here to line out this edging. Let's go in for that closer look. So I really hope you enjoyed seeing the closer look of this area and how it's coming along. Yes, it doesn't look like much now, but it's going to get better and better. And I like the process and I'm really enjoying seeing the changes as we go along anyway. So now let me get on with the digging up of my lady ferns. So here we are in Cosy Cove, and as you can see behind me, I have all of my beautiful ferns. These are Athyrium filix-femina, and I've had these ferns in this border for quite a few years now, and I've really loved the arrangement. But now I want to switch it up. I actually want to put rhododendrons here and have a lovely evergreen front that will grow out and mound out in front of the bushes that I have going on behind them. These are Symphoricarpus albus, and they were a lot of root segments that I took off some bushes I have in my inner garden and placed here because I had nothing else filling out this area, and I wanted a quick, easy mounding effect, and these plants have just done the trick. I go in and prune the tops of them every year, just go in and shear them down, and then they mound out with even more branches and look absolutely fabulous because this is a much lower border. We're on the very top side of it and it slopes down probably 60 to 80 centimeters down behind. So these are already around 2 meters tall or so. And then we have at the top the Athyrium filix-femina that have mounded out, and these also get to around 1 meter tall. They're absolutely fabulous. The one thing about them is this type of fern browns out and goes over to its autumn structure very early. I mean, it's the middle of September now, and you can see these are laying flat. They are looking very tired, and they are just ready to go to sleep for the winter. So I do want to have myself some lovely rhododendron plants here to keep a nice green front all year round in front of the other bushes. I planted out some cuttings from some hydrangea arborescens Annabelle in the back corner over there, and I did a whole video about that, so you should go back and see that, how I split and moved those plants. They did fabulously for me and they flowered out this year, and well, it's just worked out perfectly. Behind the other plants here in the middle, I'm not sure you can see it so well in the video, but I do have a Pinus sylvestris, a Scots pine. It's not in a position that's perfect for it because it's very shaded in here, and this is a plant that absolutely loves a lot of direct sunshine to grow out and look thick and vigorous. So this plant is quite thin, and the last couple of years it's grown a very small amount, and that for me is very good because I don't want this plant growing up. I wanted it just to be a kind of centerpiece in this border, again to give that winter effect. I want an evergreen plant. So I've gone in and pruned the ends of the branches the last couple of seasons to try and help it thicken out a little bit, but it's still very thin. And well, it struggles not getting enough light, but soon the canopy of all these trees will be gone, and this tree will be in a southern exposure for the rest of the year and be able to enjoy the light that it gets during the winter season right up until May next year. So it's a long period where it actually does get bright direct light, but its growing season is when it's in the shade, and thus it doesn't grow out very much, but I'm not worried about that as well. Right, so what I want to do is just dig these plants up and separate them out. And just before I do that, I'm going to put some pictures on the screen so you can just see how beautiful this plant is during the summer season when they're green and they're standing up and their fronds are out all over the place, just so that you can see this is an absolutely fabulous fern. This is a native species here in Sweden. It grows in every single forest, everywhere, and it's very robust, but it has a very short season. Whereas if I planted out here, for example, Dryopteris filix mas, or some other kind of Dryopteris, it will keep its fronds greener for a much longer period, and well, almost semi-evergreen if it didn't get too cold. But because we get a lot of snow and it gets quite cold, they get crushed down. But there are types of Dryopteris that will stay greener longer if I wanted to swap them out to that kind. And I actually do have a line of them. You can't see them, they're behind the camera right now, but I have a line of them on the front edge of Cosy Cove here, and they're standing up and they're lovely and green. So I'll just give you a quick pan around and show you those. So there you go. You can see the difference between Dioptris and Athyrium type plants. And well, let's just get on with this. I've really enjoyed these plants here, and I have so many that I should be able to put these all along that back pathway over in Shieldside, and there I don't mind them going over and looking like this early in the season because it's the furthest back pathway. As I said, I'm just building up a whole layer to give us a shield, and these are just going to be something extra interesting to see during the summer season. I don't mind them looking like this early in the season out there, and then the fronds give a lot of biomass that will lie on the ground and build up the soil out there and make it better, as well as all the falling leaves from all the deciduous trees and plants. So that's all going to be great together. And hopefully the spores on the fronds of these plants will be able to produce more and more of this lovely fern to spread out in the area as well, because I also don't mind that in a woodland pathway. Right, where do I want to start? Anywhere or everywhere. There is just so much. So I might as well go right in here and take the first bundle up. Now, as I said, they've been here quite a few years, so they could be difficult to get out because they really do get stuck in. They have a really strong root system. But, oh yes, they're very tightly in. Now this is a perfect time of year to do this because, as I said, late September, these are about to go dormant, and so they're not going to be affected by moving them right now. And I know that they'll be perfect for the next season. They are really not going to make it easy for me though. I can tell that now. Aha, it's because they're also mixed in with tree roots. So right, here's my first mound, and it's out. Shake off the excess soil, and there you go. I have a plant here, and what I'm going to do at the same time is prune off the fronds so I can see what I have to work with. And I want to see if I can show you this plant has already produced its fronds, its fiddles, as we can say, for the next season, that will stay dormant until we get to that time. So all of this I will take with me and use as biomass on the ground out there. So now I just want to show you the roots. They're very thin, wiry kind of roots. They're dark brown to black, lots of them, and they really mat out in the ground and hold on tight. Then we have the rosettes on the top, and here I can count 4 distinct rosettes. So if I should hold it like this, you might be able to see the rosettes yourself. And in those rosettes, if we have a little look, I don't want to disturb them too much, but it might be difficult for you to see because everything's near enough the same colour. But in the middle of the rosette here, there are round fiddle heads that are dormant. Those will all come up next year. So now that I know that I have 4 rosettes, I want to get as many plants spread out as possible in my new area. So I'm going to go and split these straight away. And the wonderful thing about these plants is they give and give and give. So if I get down here, I can go in between where I can see the rosettes are and just saw, without any fuss, saw through all the roots. This does not harm these plants at all. And there we go. I have 2 plants, and then I can go in between those rosettes and saw. And as I said, they have so many roots, so the roots go on for days. So here I've already created 2 separate plants, and then here 2 more. So as you can see, I'm going to have plants for days. One big mass that's been together will be able to be spread out as 4 separate plants now. So this is going to be a long process because I have an awful lot of plants to get through here. And that's really exciting because I have around, I'm not sure, 30 meters out there that I need to get these spread out along. So I'm going to need all these plants separated. Let me get on with this in fast forward because it's going to take me quite some time. So now I am down to the last corner here, and wow, I have so many plants, it's unbelievable. And I think this is going to be the last plant that I actually take up from here. I have more growing down around the back, and I think I'll leave those there because it's much more dense there and they're good to fill out the area. But this one, this is my last one I'm going to move out. So there we go, that's me done. I've got all of my ferns out from the top edge of this border. And now I just need to split them up to see just how many plants I can get out of this, because many of them are just big root clumps and I want more plants, of course. I've got a long way to spread them out. So I'm going to get on with separating them all right now, and then we'll go straight back over to Shieldside. So, I must tell you, I am very tired now. I managed to split up and get myself 54 separate rosettes of this beautiful plant. So now I'm ready to go straight over to Shieldside and get them planted out. So now we are back in Shieldside Garden, and all there is for me to do now is get these ferns in the ground. I've already placed them out all the way along the edge here so that I could see how I needed to spread them out, and I managed to get them spread out from one end of Shieldside all the way to the other end with those plants that I got out of that border just before. This is just amazing, so let me just get them planted. So this is going quite quick and easy. I've already planted 3 plants, and there's just a couple of things you need to think about when you're planting out your ferns like this. Do not cover the top, because these plants need to be able to photosynthesize as soon as the weather starts warming up so that their fronds can unfurl. If you cover them up with a load of soil and leaves, they won't get the light they need to be able to get all of their fronds up. It could be too heavy and damage and break them. So make sure that you plant them in with their roots, but leave the top of the crown clear of the soil with the top clear. Then you're good to go. They don't really need to be very deep. They don't need much fuss. They'll figure it out very quickly themselves. And while I'm at it here, if I see stones, or rocks I mean, that I can use for border edging, well, I have to get them out at the same time. Look at this big, beautiful rock. That I can use somewhere else. So that's me all done. All of my lovely Athyrium filix-femina are planted out along the edge of my Shieldside area of my garden here, and I really can't wait for them to come up and grace this forest trail as a beautiful edging. So I really hope you've enjoyed seeing this video and how you can split and rearrange your ferns and an area of your garden that is semi-wild and starting to introduce new things into it. I'm really looking forward to coming back and seeing this video in the future to see how much it's mounding out with all sorts of different plants. The more variety of plants you have, the better it is for the biodiversity. And at the moment, it's the middle of September 2024. So we'll see what all this looks like when I come back and show you this area again next year, late May, June time, so we can see the lovely green outline. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.